Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to add and subtract radicals. This is actually going to be a really quick video. The most important thing about radicals is that in order to add or subtract them, you need the same person under the square root. So, you can only combine them if they have the same thing under the square root. So this problem is going to be pretty simple. 3 square root of 5 plus 4 square root of 5, well, that makes 7 square root of 5 minus 7 square root of 2. So I'm just going to bring this person down. Okay. Then I'm going to try to add these, or subtract these rather. And what we notice is that these two numbers don't match. So your final answer is just this. And if you want to be really clever, you can factor out a 7 and have the answer to be just like this, but not necessary. What about something like this? Many students kind of keep this as 5 rad 3. What I want everyone to understand is that every number has a sign in front of it, and every square root has a number in front of it. So when there's no number there, I want you to put a 1 there. So this is actually very basic. 5 apples minus 1 apple is 4 apples. Now I chose this problem on purpose, or for a specific reason, I should say. Couple of things. 1, please be sure to put the 1 in front of the square root. That's your first thing. Second, a lot of times students see a number like 4 and say, oh, that's a square root. That's a perfect square, and the square root of that is 2, and they just say the answer is 2 square root of 3. Do not do that. Unless it says square root of 4, which is then 2, do not break down numbers unless there's a square root on top of it. Okay, so these are common mistakes that students make. Your answer is 4 radical 3, and you are done. What happens when there is no number that matches underneath, but their question's asking you to combine them? Well, what you want to do is you want to find a perfect square that gives you 18. So you're going to need one number, one of these numbers here, right? These are all perfect squares. You're going to need one of these numbers here in order to do this problem. So can you think of two numbers that multiply to 18 where one of them is a perfect square? 9. 6 times 3 is 18, but neither 6 nor 3 are perfect squares. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, first one that's going to come out of the square root, I put first, and then I'm going to put the other one. So 9 times 2 makes 18. What about 8? Well, let me just finish this side first, the left side. Square root of 9 is 3 and 2. This is going to be helpful. This is a really nice tip or a hint. In order to add these, you're going to need the same number under the square root. So what you should say to yourself is, if you didn't know what two numbers multiply to 8, you can say, hey, I need a 2 under there. So 4 times 2. The square root of 4 is 2, square root of 2, and then they match. Now that they match, you only add the numbers in front of the square root. So 3 plus 2 is 5, and we're going to keep the square root of 2. Let's do it here. Let's pretend that, 27 is pretty simple. It's 9 times 3. Square root of 9 is 3. Once again, square root of 12, you have options. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. You want to try to get a 3 out of this in order for you to add it. So the square root of 12 is 4 times 3. Put the number that's going to come out of the square root first. Okay? 3 rad 3 minus 2 rad 3 makes 1 rad 3. And that's pretty much how you do it. I just wanted to talk to you about, sometimes teachers love to give really large numbers, and some of these are like our famous numbers. 162. One thing that I want you to realize is that this is an even number. And if you're ever stuck, at least say to yourself, 2 can go into this number. So 2 times what? Well, 2 goes into 16 8 times, and 2 goes into 2 once. So square root of 81 times 2. Now, if you want to combine these, you know you want to try to pull out a 2 from this person here. Well, 2 times what? Not 50, even though it's very close to 100, so go 1 less. So 49 times 2. Finally, 200. 100. Anytime it's 200, 300, 500, 600, 700, what I want you to remember is that it's going to be 100 times the number. Well, the square root of 81 is 9, root 2, 7 root 2, 10 root 2. And now you can add these all up because they all match. You can only add them if they match, okay? 9 and 7 is 16 plus 10 is 26. Keep the radical 2. And here's our final problem for the day. A lot of people say 4 times 8. That is true, but go higher. Why? Because I have a radical 3 here. And once again, what's in front of the radical 3? A 1. So I want a radical 3 from here. So what two numbers where one of them is a 3 times a 12? 4 times 3. Well, 3 times what makes 48? 16. Try to remember these big numbers or the unusual numbers. 4 rad 3 plus, I almost got caught, 2 rad 3 minus 1 rad 3. So that's going to just be 5 rad 3. And if you get it, great. I just want to show you one thing one more time. Here, let's say you didn't pick the highest number. Let's say you chose 4 times 12, rather. I think I said 4 times 8 earlier. Sorry about that. 4 times 12. Well, that is half correct. The question wants it in simplest form. So you have to break up the 12 again. So bring down this 2 with you. Square root of 12 is square root of 4 times square root of 3. 2, 2, root 3. In mathematics, if there is no sign in between two numbers, it means that you're multiplying them. So this is 2 times 2, which is 4, and keep the square root. So this is the same exact thing. The only thing is, if you don't pick the highest radical, you're going to have to do it over and over again. You got to make sure that the number underneath the square root, you have to make sure that it is in most simplest form, okay? Or most simple form, rather, okay? So if anybody wants to stick around, I'm going to do one more problem. And square root of 32, if you break up 32, and you choose 4 times 8, that's great. But then you have to break up the 8 again. 8 is 4 times 2. So 2, 2, rad 2. These numbers are next to each other, and it's 4 rad 2. So this is the most basic way of adding and subtracting radicals, okay? I should mention, let's pretend there was a 7 in front of here. You bring this 7 along. So the 7 will be multiplied by all of this. You got to multiply the numbers. So that would be square root of 28 square root of 2. Well, have a great day, and I hope this helps.